Jen, thank you. This morning, the CBS 12 News I-Team is out with an important update to a story we've been working on for months, taking a closer look at a death investigation, asking if police got it wrong when they ruled it was an accidental overdose.
Yeah, after our first story asking what happened to Alysse, we are seeing some significant change now. I-Team investigator Danielle DeRoss joins us live in studio to bring us up to speed on the story and tell us what's happening now, Danielle.
Well, Matt and Sam, right now, the police have reopened this case, and the medical examiner is changing the autopsy report after our investigation raised some serious questions about this woman's death. So back in February, we first told you the story of Alysse Steed, a woman in her 30s, a mother of 3, who did have her struggles with addiction and mental illness. It was about a year ago that she was found dead in her mother's home. That death was initially ruled an accidental overdose, and her toxicology results did show that there were drugs in her system at the time of her death. But her mother, being a nurse, recognized that these drug levels were below what's considered the lethal level. So she contacted us. She was not getting anywhere with police or the medical examiner's office when she asked them to take a second look. But she reached out to us hoping that we could make a difference. So what we did is brought in an independent toxicologist to review the evidence, and what he told us was very clear. He agreed these drugs were not at the lethal level, so he said definitively this could not have been an overdose. So not only did we discuss that in our initial report, but we also presented evidence that Alysse may have been the victim of domestic violence the night that she died. We told you how her mother overheard a fight between Alysse and her boyfriend, that she did have injuries to her neck that were noted in the autopsy report. We also showed text messages that were just on your screen. Those were from Alysse right before she died, telling a friend that her boyfriend had choked her out. So these are all important pieces of evidence that we contained in that first story.
And there have been some significant updates since that first story. So walk us through what has now happened.
So after we started asking questions, the Port St. Lucie Police Department said that they would be reopening this case and that they would be specifically looking at these accusations of domestic violence. Now, mind you, we know that they told Mary Beth a few months ago the case was closed. So this was a really important step. We also can confirm that the medical examiner decided to do a comprehensive review of their case, and they decided to amend the autopsy report. They have now changed the cause of death that was initially ruled an overdose. They now say that it could not be determined what killed Alysse.
I mean, the mother was at her wit's end when she came to you. Felt like she had no other options. So what is she telling you now?
So right now, she is certainly grateful to see this change reflected in the autopsy report, because what this means is that the record has been somewhat corrected, no longer considered an overdose. But this does, of course, fall short of what she would ultimately like to see, which is perhaps a homicide ruling in the case, maybe criminal charges against who she believes is responsible. So I want to be clear, this death has not been ruled a homicide at this point, but she would like to see this through. She'd like to see some criminal charges brought in some capacity, and I asked her how she was feeling. You can take a listen to what she had to say.
Domestic violence, how much it led to her death, I may never know, but that's what the experts are there for, you know. And she deserved a fair look at the case, and and I deserve to have him charged accordingly.
Let's talk about the boyfriend again, right? Because there's the text messages where she claims to have been choked, and there's the marks on her neck. So where is her boyfriend now? Have you heard from him? Have you talked about these claims with him?
I have, and I've asked him repeatedly to do an interview with us. He has declined to be interviewed, but he is speaking with me, and he maintains that he did not harm her. And he says this is all a lie, that it's been made up, and that he really does believe that it was drugs that killed her. So we have been communicating, and he is maintaining his innocence, and he does say that he has recently met with police to talk about everything, so we will certainly see where this goes from here.
Danielle, put this into perspective for us about just how rare it is for an autopsy report to be changed like this.
Well, I can tell you I've never seen it in my career, and to me this was significant. When I saw one autopsy compared to the other, and I could see that change for myself, it honestly stopped me in my tracks. I said to the mother in the interview, we need to talk about this because this is a really big deal. And so I felt that way when I saw it, but I wanted to get an expert's opinion on that too. So I interviewed an expert in police procedure who told me that in the years that he's been an expert witness on cases like this, he's only ever seen this happen twice in his career. So to us, this is notable. It certainly is not the end of the story because police continue to investigate, but this is an important update. on this investigation.
And we know you'll keep us updated.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, well, to watch this update and Danielle's original story, What Happened to Alysse, you can find a link right now on our homepage. Just head to our website, cbs12.com.
Well, some of you may have received